Here's part two of my explanation as far as why I've become the way I have with regard to women. Anybody who's wondering what I'm on about, you have to listen to part one because I run out of space if I go back and recap everything. Um, anyway, the woman who lived across the hall from me that told everybody she was terrified of me and that had people mad at me in my hometown because they thought that I was causing her to have some distress or whatever. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, as I said in the last video, because I know the women react funnily to me. And so I thought, well, I'm not a threat to her, but maybe she sincerely believes I am. Even though she was allowing her 5-year-old daughter to come across the hall and visit with me and stuff like that, I thought we'd just visit out in the hallway. I would never allow her into the apartment. But, it didn't make a lot of sense, but still, because I get reacted to that way oftentimes, I thought, okay, well, maybe she sincerely believes it, even if I don't understand it. But the day that I put my key in the lock and she came out into the hallway wearing nothing but a towel and did a pirouette in front of me while giggling, spun around in a circle with one arm up over her head and giggled, and then she says, sorry, and she goes back inside and closes the door. Well, that's definitely not what a woman who is terrified of a man would do. So I knew then that she was telling lies in order to get sympathy or to stir up drama or whatever, and it had worked because there was definitely some drama being stirred up. I was having issues because she did that. I was being treated pretty badly around town because she was doing that. So, yeah, it wasn't good anyway. Um, that was one example. Another example was something that happened with a neighbor. There was one woman that lived in the building who had a boyfriend that used to beat her. And I know he did beat her because I heard it happening different times. Like, when you live in an apartment, there's really no privacy. And you tend to know a lot about your neighbors that you probably shouldn't know and that you probably don't want to know. It really can't be helped. And I had heard her getting beat up in her apartment by her boyfriend, so I knew that was a thing. Anyway, I think that what happened, and I never did know the whole story, but I think that what happened is he beat her up severely enough that she had to go to the hospital. And when she was asked about it, she wanted to protect her boyfriend, so she claimed that I was her boyfriend and that I had beaten her up. I ended up with the Ontario Provincial Police investigating me for months as a possible domestic abuser. They were coming to my door and telling me that this woman was my common-law wife, that she was living with me, and that I had beat her up. And they were wanting me to confess to beating her up. And I kept telling them, look, I do not have a common-law wife. I live here by myself. I have never had a common-law wife. The first time they came to my door, I actually laughed. I kind of made a joke out of it. I thanked them. I thanked them for thinking that I was actually able to have a girlfriend, that any woman would want me, because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I kind of made a joke out of it anyway, which I guess I shouldn't have done. But again, I make mistakes. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that. But I didn't deserve that. I hadn't beaten a woman up. I didn't deserve that. Anyway, I was investigated for months on suspicion of being a domestic abuser. This girl's aunt actually brought a man up to my apartment, and I heard her talking to the guy outside my door, and she's showing the guy where I live. And she's saying, there's where the SOB lives, right there. She was trying to get somebody to do something to me because she believed that I had hurt her niece. This is the stuff that I've come up against. This is a woman I had nothing to do with. She was a neighbor. I knew her because she was a neighbor. If I saw her in the hallway, if I passed her in the corridor or on a stairwell or whatever, I would say hello, make a little small talk, nice day, not such a nice day, whatever, like people do. But beyond that, I had no involvement with this woman. None. And I had the police telling me that she lived with me and that I was her boyfriend and I was beating her. And I was telling the police, look, nobody lives here but me. If I had a woman living with me, I would know. If a woman was living with me here, her stuff would be here. She'd be here. If I had a girlfriend living with me, she'd be sleeping with me. She'd be having sex with me. Do you not think I would know if all that was happening? And I would know, too. If I beat somebody up, I would know. I'm not going to beat somebody up and not know that I beat somebody up. So it just made no sense anyway. But I think that's what it was, is that she was trying to protect her boyfriend. So she basically threw me under the bus. But had that happen. Another time I'm walking down the street and there's 3 young women sitting on a park bench. I was a young man at the time. I was just in my 20s. One of the women was crying. She was really upset. And she's talking about her boyfriend, and she's saying what a piece of crap he is, basically, that he abuses her, he cheats on her, he's just a bad, bad boyfriend. She wishes she had never had anything to do with him. Well, I mean, look, I couldn't help but to hear that. I didn't stick my nose into it. It was none of my business. But yeah, I heard it. And look, if the guy really was doing all that stuff, then yeah, she was right. She probably shouldn't have got involved with him. And it's too bad that she did. But, and shame on him for doing all that. But it had nothing to do with me. I didn't know these people. I was just going from point A to point B, and I had to pass this bench on my way from point A to point B. Anyway, one of her friends who was consoling her pointed at me, and she says, well, it could be worse. You could be with that. This is the kind of stuff that happens. I went to a dance one time, and there was this really cute woman. I tend to go for the cute look. I'm not really a supermodel type guy. I'm more of a cute guy. And I really like the appearance of a cute woman. That's my thing. I like them to be kind of sweet looking and whatnot, Anyway, this girl, I was very much attracted to her anyway. And I went over to talk to her. I asked her if she wanted to dance. It was a dance, So I asked her if she wanted to dance. I didn't often go to dances because I was rejected a lot. And I took a chance, screwed up my courage, and went to this dance. And I see this woman who I thought was just adorable, and I wanted to kind of get to know her and stuff. And I just asked her to dance, which is normal at a dance. I figure if a woman goes to a dance, she should expect to be asked to dance. Now, she had every right to say no. And if she said no, I'd accept that, no problem. She doesn't have to dance with me just because I ask her to. She doesn't have to be interested in me just because I'm interested in her. That's not how it works. I can be interested in her. I'm entitled to be interested in her, but I can't expect anything from her. I understand that, and I respect that. But still, if you don't ask, you don't get. So I took a chance and I asked. Entirely willing to accept rejection should it come my way. Well, she says, yeah, I'll dance with you, but I need to use the bathroom first. So just wait here. I'll be back. And she leaves, goes downstairs to where the toilets are or whatever, but that's also where the cloakroom is. After quite a while of her not coming back, I said to her friend that was sitting at the table with her, another woman, I said, she's not coming back, is she? And the other woman said, no, she's not. And I don't blame her. Just like that, mad. Well, I still don't know what I did wrong there. I don't understand it. She didn't have to leave. All she had to do was say no. I'd have left her alone. I wasn't going to stalk the woman or anything. I just asked her to dance because I thought she was really pretty. And I just, you got to start somewhere. But if it's a no-go, it's a no-go. That's okay. But anyway, she actually left the dance. And then her friend was mad at me because I caused her to leave the dance. So I don't know. Anyway, it's weird, but having all those kinds of experiences, it hasn't been good. Um, there was one woman I knew, and I ended up, I started, I liked her, and I told her I liked her, that I was interested in possibly dating her. And she actually sat down, put her head in her hands, and started to cry. And she said, "This is the worst thing that has ever happened." I mean, this is what I'm getting. So I figure I'm not doing women any favors by showing an interest in them. And I figure that they don't like it, obviously. I've had women tell me that it's the equivalent of being raped, knowing that I'm interested, which really bothers me, but I've been told that by more than one woman, so I gotta figure there's something to it. Pardon me enough, my eyes here. I know my eyes are half closed, but I'm trying to keep them open, but for this video, it may be the angle of the camera or something, I don't know. Anyway, the bottom line is this. All that, well, I had turned off that part of myself. I just said, okay, women don't like me that way. I have to accept that. It's a blow to my ego as a man, because I'm still a man, you know. But still, okay, they don't like me. They find me creepy. They feel threatened by me or whatever. I have to accept that. So I turned off that part of myself. I just accepted that I'm going to be alone. Well, then, about a year and a half ago, a woman who was a friend of a friend of mine, um, we started communicating through Facebook. And she was flirtatious. I'm sure she would say she wasn't now, but she was. She was telling me that I was the smartest man and the coolest man she knew and all kinds of stuff. She wanted to meet me. She said she was really nervous about meeting me because she was afraid I wouldn't like her and all that, but she wanted to meet me. We arranged a meeting in February that didn't happen because she bailed out. She actually bailed a couple of times. And then I sent her a message basically saying, I don't know what's going on, but maybe it's better we just forget about it. And she was quite apologetic, and she said she suffers from anxiety and that, and she just couldn't follow through with it. She got really scared. Couldn't follow through with it. She was afraid that I wouldn't like her and so on. And okay, I mean, I felt bad then, you know, because I'd said that to her. Maybe we ought to just forget about it. So I said, well, we'll work through it, whatever it is. If we're meant to meet, we'll meet. If we're not meant to meet, we won't meet. It'll just be whatever it'll be. In the meantime, we can keep talking through here if you'd like to, and so on. Anyway, it ended up, we did meet in May. She invited me to go to her church with her. And I thought, okay, maybe she's just uncomfortable meeting me out here where I am, which is understandable. I'm in a camper in the middle of a field here, so it's understandable. I thought, okay, yeah, we'll go to church. I told her, I said, you need to understand, I'm not interested in joining your church, but I'll go because it's an opportunity to finally meet you, and it's an opportunity to kind of get to know you a bit, which I want to do. So she agreed, and that's what we did. We made a joke about being Catholic and whatnot because I used to be Catholic. She told me that wasn't a deal breaker for her, that if I was Catholic and so on like that. And we kind of made a joke of that and stuff. Well, I think what happened is when she met me, I underwhelmed her. I think she thought she was going to meet a cross between Grizzly Adams and Albert Einstein, and instead I turned out to be a cross between Forrest Gump and Pee Wee Herman, you know. So she was underwhelmed by me, is what it boils down to. Anyway, still, I had some hope. I thought maybe something can develop here. That part of me that I had killed off started to come back to life, and it really shouldn't have, but it did. Anyway, the whole thing culminated with her telling me in a message that she was in dire straits. She needed a loan. And I've been saving some money here because I'm going to buy a truck. She said she needed a loan. She was in dire straits. She was in bad trouble if she didn't get this money. Well, I lent her $400. And, then she didn't keep her word as far as coming to pay it back and so on. That resulted in a conflict between us. Then I told her I was just going to finish with her because I didn't see any future there and so on like that. And I just didn't trust her at that point. Um, then she kept messaging me saying she wanted to pay the money back. So we made an arrangement for her to pay the money back. But then she didn't keep her word on that end of it. She did pay $100 of it back eventually, but it was really tough even getting that. Even though she said she wanted to pay it back, and our agreement was that she'd pay 200 and then she just paid 100. And I confronted her about that, and she kept telling me that I needed to learn to deal with reality, with life, and that I needed to learn to cope when things don't go according to plan and all that, which I'm actually really good at that. It's one of the few strengths I have because life for me has been tough. So I've had to be able to deal with things not going to plan, and I've had to be able to deal with adversity. And I'm good at that. I have amazing coping ability when it comes to dealing with adversity. But what she was doing wasn't life happening. It was just her deciding to do different than what she said she was going to do. And, look, if you're coming out here to pay me my money, to give me my money back, and you get into a car accident, that's life happening. I understand that. And I'm not going to be concerned about the money. I'm going to be concerned about her. It's like, are you all right? Can I do anything for you? Like, what happened? I'm really sorry to hear that. That would be my reaction then. But not, well, I just slept in, or I just, or I'm not able to do what I said I was going to do, or I'm this, or I'm that. No, I mean, look, keep your word. I keep my word. I expect the people I deal with to keep their word. That's not me being harsh and judgmental, which she said it was. That's just me having some standard as far as the people I associate with. Anyway, I got 100 of it back. That was it. It ended up with her calling me an abusive narcissist. And at that point, I just said, you know what? Don't contact me again. Just leave me in peace. And so I've been dealing with all that anyway. I've been dealing with the emotional end of it. And I'm now having to kill off that part of myself that I had already killed off, which is a very painful process. I'm having to deaden that part of myself again because of that. And I just don't want to go through it again. I really don't. So I'm not looking to make friends with women at this point. And I'm certainly not looking to date women. I guess I am kind of misogynistic in a way at this point. I'm harboring a lot of resentment. And that's all the more reason that I should probably just distance myself as much as I can from women. When she accused me of abusing her, because I've been through that nightmare before when I wasn't guilty for it, my first reaction is if I'm going to be accused of abuse, I'm going to be an abuser. And when that thought entered my mind, I thought, okay, I need to just stay the heck away from her and stay the heck away from women in general, because I'm now at the point where I could really even actually be a danger to women. When I'm thinking that way, well, I'll just go over to your house and abuse you so that you can compare the two and know the difference. That's where my mind went. So that told me at this point I have enough resentment that I am a danger to women and I need to stay away. So that's what I'm doing anyway. There's a lot more stuff that's happened over the years, but that's just an overview to let you know why I've developed that attitude for anybody who knows me, especially any women, and they wonder why I've become a misogynistic man. That's why I'm doing it, to protect myself. I honestly don't understand how a woman's mind works. I think there's a lot of illogic to it, and I don't see a lot of reason there, and I don't understand it, and I have trouble navigating it, to be honest. And people will say, well, there's women's intuition, there's something about you, women know that you're no good. Well, if they do know that about me, then why don't they know it about all the actually abusive guys they get involved with? If they can identify me in the grocery store as a threat when I'm looking at, I don't know, the frozen food display or whatever, then how come they don't identify the guy who they end up moving in with as a threat before they do that? and then he ends up beating them up and cheating on them and degrading them sexually and all the rest of it. So I don't really believe that it's women's intuition, that they're seeing something in me that would indicate that I'm a true threat to them. And I haven't really been a threat to women, except until recently. I'm at the point now where I'm just resentful enough that I think I could be a threat to women. And that's why I'm backing off and staying away. I'm doing it as much for their benefit as mine, really. And the thing is, I'm not, I say they don't want me to take that kind of an interest in them anyway. They've been pretty clear about that. So it's time for me to just listen to them. When women are telling you it's the equivalent of being raped to know that you're interested in them, that's a pretty strong message. And if it was just one woman who said that to me, I'd say, oh, well, that's just one crazy woman. But I've been told that by multiple women. And I'm sure there's something about me that causes that. I'm sure I do contribute to my own situation in some way. Because there are men who are capable of having friendships and romantic relationships and so on with women, and they don't have these problems. So I have to own some of it at least. I have to acknowledge that I'm at least responsible for some of it. I don't know what's going on with my eyes in this video, but anyway, it's pretty weird looking. But, so I'll accept that I'm to blame for some of it, even though I don't understand how. But, I mean, some of this random stuff that's happened doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm not going to pretend that I think it does, because it just doesn't. And, false accusations are never good. If I haven't abused you, you shouldn't say I have. That's the whole thing. Even if you're mad at me, even if you have some reason to be mad at me, or you sincerely believe you do, don't make a false accusation. If I haven't abused you, don't say I have. That's all. Anyway, I'm just limiting the amount of contact I have with women for that reason. Because it's disturbing to them, that's obvious. And it's been disturbing to me too. I mean, it disturbs my peace. And it brings a lot of resentment about in me, which isn't good. It's not good spiritually or emotionally or anything else to harbor resentments against other people. So it's time for me to just distance myself, and that's what I'm doing. So I hope y'all understand that. I'm not a malicious person by nature. I'm not a man who's prone to violence, really, except under certain circumstances I can be, like any man can be. I think any man who's never a danger or a threat to another person really isn't much of a man, to be honest. I think that's a milksop, and I'm no milksop. If you push me, I'll push back. But I'm not actively looking for that, with anybody, male or female. And so, anyway, but it seems that with women especially, that's what I'm getting, and that's what I have gotten. And so I'm just backing away from all that and accepting that for me, that's how it is. Anyway, thank you all for listening to me. I hope I haven't caused any distress for anybody with what I'm saying. I'm being honest. I'm speaking the truth as I see it. And this video really is more for people who know me and who wonder why I am the way I am with regard to women. But that's the reason anyway. I recently